nights, neon lights, crazy dreams. AJ, Brock, and Zach scheming wild things. Movies that flopped or never got their time. They breathe new life with sequels on their mind.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Frantic Nerdcast presents Sequelize It, the show where we take a movie that never got or didn't deserve a sequel, and we come up with the idea for a sequel of it. And today's episode, we are doing
District 9.
Dun dun dun.
And we have followed through on our pack, well, I have at least, of avoiding the rumoured District 9 sequel from the past. So I have made my sequel today without any knowledge of what that story was.
I don't think his actual story idea ever got released. It was, he said he was going to do it. He said it was going to happen. Then he's like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And then the studio's like, the studio's not in a rush for it. And that's all info that really is ever coming up.
Well, I avoided that much anyway. So
I was clueless to everything that happened.
All right. Who wants to tell the lucky people at home about District 9?
So, oh, Jesus, once I've stopped throwing my laptop around. So in today's episode, District 9, it is a 2009 science fiction film directed by Neil Blomkamp in his feature film debut. Written by Blomkamp and Terry Tatchell and produced by Peter Jackson and Carolyn Cunningham. The film is partially presented in a found footage format by featuring fictional interviews, news footage, and video from surveillance cameras. The story, which explores themes of humanity, xenophobia, and social segregation, begins in an alternate 1982 when an alien spaceship appears over Johannesburg, South Africa. When a population of sick and malnourished insectoid aliens is discovered on the ship, the South African government confines them to an internment camp called District 9. 20 years on, during the government's relocation of the aliens to another camp, one of the confined aliens named Christopher Johnson, who is about to try and escape from Earth with his son and return home, crosses path with a bureaucrat named Wikus van der Meer. Leading I'll get it wrong 3 times during this, and I'll say it different every time. Leading the relocation.
Excellent. So first off, the movie, excellent, loved it.
yes, as I said, I rewatched it for the first time in a long time and forgot the whole mockumentary aspect of it. So it was great to remember that cool aspect of the movie.
It was
very different.
Such a good film because I didn't know anything about it leading into the watching it the first time, and it was just blown away. I thought it was absolutely incredibly well done. I looked back across like some of the advertisement and stuff that they did around the time, and they did a really cool advertisement thing where it's like District 9 relocation occurring. So rather than just say here's the movie, it was far more of that like
viral marketing.
Exactly, the viral marketing aspect, which was really, really cool.
I said, and even the fact that it wasn't in your typical LA setting, it was in South Africa, but that also then played into sort of the humanitarian storylines in the story, which worked well. But I did notice there was some legal issues the movie came across, especially with Nigeria. They were not happy with how the Nigerians were represented in the movie.
It wasn't only that; it was kind of like the premise of what it was based on, because it's based around District 6, I think it was, District 6 within South Africa, which had like a whole there's a whole shtick around that, and it's pretty bad from what I was reading on the surface. So it definitely came from a place that was always going to get some backlash of some kind because of what it was being based around. But look, I think that the way that it came across onto the screen was fucking excellent. Yeah. It was such a good film. Film.
Watched it again last weekend and still holds up quite well and quite worth the watch if you haven't watched it before.
Mm-hmm.
All right, who wants to get this thing started?
Who started last week?
I did.
You did? All right, so it's me or you.
All right, I'll go.
Before you start, I'm just going to say, for those that are joining for the first time, so what we're going to do here is we're each going to come up with our own sequel idea for District 9, and then at the end we will create the ultimate sequel by combining all the best aspects of our sequels and putting it together for you guys to enjoy and harass the movie companies and producers to get made and become a reality.
Exactly, and for those who are rejoining us, you obviously already know of the incredible universes we've already made.
Yes, it's brilliant. All right, so let's jump on in. Now, mine is titled District 10 Exile.
I did try to avoid that with my title.
It's bound to happen. Mine is
Well, they were being relocated to District 10 during
that's why I called it that. Mine is a TV series. That's a continuation from the movie, but it's an 8-episode TV series.
You're not going to
sequel.
come back halfway through and do a Brock and then it turns into a sequel or prequel or something.
No, it is
like
a sequel.
that.
It's a sequel
Yeah,
series, but
yeah.
it's an 8-episode series that comes after. I think HBO-ish style.
Cool.
Lots of money spent on each episode, kind of thing. How most things are done. So my movie picks up 3 years after the original movie, because that's what at the end of the movie he says, I can get you one from
Go
my own
back
planet.
3
It takes 3 years. So Wickus is struggling to survive in District 10 since they've all been relocated. All the prawns have been relocated while coping with his alien transformation. But Christopher's ship returns and sparks hope for all of the prawns. But what the humanity isn't aware of is another fleet of invaders are following behind, coming to en route to our Earth. And the world leaders all scramble to sort of prepare themselves for this sort of situation. And that's pretty much what the first episode will be. It's sort of the setup of Christopher comes back. It introduces that he's being chased by these other aliens, which we'll learn more about in the future episodes.
Yep.
So episode 2, Christopher sort of comes to Earth and he is immediately sort of held up by the humans. He explains that the invaders have a history of conquest throughout the galaxy, and they're actually the people who sort of wiped out most of his population and made them become...
so it's a different alien race following.
different alien
Okay.
race. And these are the ones who wiped out the prawns race in the first place and sort of sent them to sort of immigrate throughout the galaxy. The government, he sort of says the only way that they're going to be able to beat these sort of invaders is if they sort of team up and combine their technology, all that kind of stuff. As we know from the first movie, prawns can use their technology, humans can't. The government's reluctantly accept this offer of an alliance, but in the background, they sort of secretly start to sort of have their own little plans. They sort of begin exploiting the prawns for labor and their technology under the guise of preparation. Wickus sort of, he's sensing this is all sort of happening, and he's trying to convince Christopher that not to trust the humans. Christopher's kind of convincing the rest of the prawns, no, it's a good thing. We need to align to sort of stop these aliens when they arrive. And that's about the second episode. Third episode, the invaders deploy an advanced sort of force to Earth from their main kind of battlement of ships, mainly trying to target sort of the humans and like District 10, trying to sort of get rid of the leadership sort of roles as most aliens usually do. Humanity uses these attacks to justify harsher measurements on all their prawns. Wickus begins to question whether the humans can be trusted even more, and Christopher grows frustrated with the lack of cooperation that's sort of happening. So this episode's kind of about the humans taking more advantage of the prawns, all while they're kind of they're preoccupied by this invasion and thinking that the humans are helping them kind of situation. Then we move into episode 4. Christopher and Wickus uncover evidence that the MNU has been secretly experimenting on prawns over the past 3 years with District 10, trying to get their technology similar to what they wanted to do in the first movie with the arm.
So more or less it's just continuing through.
However, instead of strengthening the alliance, the success fuels humanity's ambition to control the prawns. I've jumped an episode. But this is his warnings are dismissed by like paranoia and all that kind of stuff. The humans are really good at propaganda against the prawns because they've been so downtrodden for so long. The prawns in District 10 begin to go restless and they sort of sense dangers from both the humans and the invaders. Episode 5, a skirmish with the invaders reveals the devastating potential of the combined efforts of the humans and the prawns with their technology. However, instead of strengthening the alliance, this sort of fuels the humans' ambitions to try and get more technology, more from the prawns.
That doesn't sound like something
doesn't,
humanity
no.
would do.
And Christopher continuously
original.
throughout this whole series, Christopher's always trying. He's the sort of the in between. He's stuck in both worlds, and he's kind of trying to convince. Wickus. Sorry,
was gonna say,
trying to convince
Wickus,
Christopher that this is all like the human greed is going to prevail. Then we jump to episode 6. The invaders prepare for a full scale assault. Tensions grow between humans and prawns. Sort of they start to begin to reach that boiling point. And sort of Wickus is desperately trying to kind of mediate between the two, but he's just constantly feeling torn between, is he human, is he not human? He's not 100% sure. Christopher devises comes up with a plan to use the mothership's technology to try and like wipe out the invaders as they sort of hit Earth's atmosphere. But it requires the help of humans to be able to do it. Episode 7, second last episode, the alliance of humans and prawns launches a desperate counterattack against the invaders, relying on sort of Wickus because of his hybridness. He can kind of control critical systems that neither can, like this joint unification. So he can kind of control these systems. So
more or less a human technology, the prawn technology, and
the merging of the two. Yeah,
cool.
He's the only one who can kind of control these sort of systems. Christopher and Wickus uncover the human plot to take control of the prawn technology after the invaders are defeated. The seeds of betrayal are sort of planted right there, and it's sort of like comes to the boiling point. And then we come to our final episode. The final battle against the invaders pushes the alliance to the limits. Just as victory happens, the humans they use this device within the mothership, wipes out the invaders kind of at that last second. Battles happen, lots of prawns dead, lots of humans dead. Just as they win, the humans execute their betrayal and use a hidden weapon that they had to disable all the prawns' weaponry and assert their dominance over the prawns. Christopher sort of sees this happening with the mothership and and crashes the mothership into a facility that kind of controls this device sort of thing and just wipes it out. Wickus, upon the devastation of the MNU kind of facility that's controlling him, most of the prawns gone. He's kind of like, fuck this, humanity's fucked. I'm a prawn. And he kind of takes all the prawns, uses some technology from the invaders and shoots them all back off into space, and they become sort of exiled into space to sort of head to another planet and maybe start the cycle again.
I was right into the end. I was like, I'm waiting for it. And this is the end of season 1, ready for season 2.
Well, it's kind of one of those ones that it ends, but if they wanted to do another season, they probably could.
Hoping to do it.
Yeah, you could have little hints of like hand risers or some fucking shit. I don't know.
I really like that Christopher was the glue rather than Wickus.
Yes.
I really like that component. I was going to say, like, with that technology and how Wickus is the one who controls it and whatnot, I think it would be cooler to go down a route similar to I've just gone blank on the fucking, what's the Jaeger movie where they come out of Pacific Rim. They go down to Pacific Rim where it's it's a mix of technology, but it's controlled by a human and a prawn, and they have to work together.
That would probably make more sense.
And
yeah.
Wickus is sort of the link, so to speak.
So you
like
have
he
like
can sort of direct, like, this is, hey, human, this is what happened.
Well,
This is what he's doing, and
that is one thing I felt I was missing even when I was coming up with the sort of ideas, is a human protagonist. So a human character, because you've got Christopher, who is full prawn.
Yep.
You got Wickus, who is half prawn. And there's just no human counteract kind of thing. But that if you had that would make sense of you need that human to activate the thing along with the prawn, and then the hybrid is the half.
And he can almost be, if he's a protagonist, he can be like within the MNU, but he's the guy who believes in not the MNU's target, but what their on the face mandate is. So when the double cross occurs, it's all like, oh shit.
Well, do I have the solution to your problem?
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I look forward to hearing this.
The one problem I have with your show is you've taken my fucking idea. So I'm going to go next, so we can save the original idea to the end.
Here we go.
All right, so mine was called District 9, The Arrival, or you could change it to District 10. I was just trying to avoid District 10. It's too obvious a sequel. All right, so mine is set 15 years after the movie. So after the events of District 9, the prawns have resettled into District 10, an expanded but still segregated area outside of Johannesburg. Tensions between humans and prawns persist, marked by mutual distrust and occasional violence. Hope rekindles when Christopher Johnson returns to Earth aboard a newly repaired mothership, fulfilling his promise to rescue his people and potentially restore his humanity. However, his arrival comes with a dire warning. A hostile alien species called the Drexar has followed him to Earth. When you said that, I was like,
Keep going.
the Drexar, a militaristic race responsible for enslaving the prawns in the past, demand Earth's submission. Initially dismissive of the threat, humanity quickly learns the Drexar's destructive potential when they annihilate a major city to demonstrate their power.
Just quickly. We're going to get a call from Blomkamp going, how the fuck did they get my idea?
As the Drexar prepare to strip Earth of its resources, humans and prawns must form an unlikely alliance to survive. Wickus, now fully alien and estranged from his former human life, works alongside Christopher to unite the two species. The Resistance discovers a hidden prawn superweapon on Earth capable of destroying the Drexar mothership, but requires both human and prawn to corporation to operate. Internal conflicts threaten their efforts, humans skeptical of the prawns sabotage key plans, while some prawns, resentful of their mistreatment, refuse to help humanity. As the Drexar tighten their grip on Earth, Wickus finds renewed purpose, becoming a bridge between the species. In a climactic battle, the Resistance launches an all-out assault on the Drexar mothership. Wickus, embracing his alien identity, sacrifices his chance to return to humanity by activating the weapon. The Drexar are defeated and their forces retreat, leaving Earth battered but victorious. In the aftermath, a fragile alliance begins to form between the humans and prawns, with District 10 evolving into a shared space for cooperation. Christopher remains on Earth to guide this new chapter, while Wickus, a hero to both species, accepts his alien form and looks to the stars ready for the challenge ahead. So, the new cast members to solve his problem. I have Florence Pugh playing as Dr. Evelyn Kane, who is a determined xenobiologist and government consultant who sees potential in a human-alien corporation. Evelyn becomes a critical ally for the Resistance, using her expertise to bridge the gap between species while clashing with Earth's military-industrial agenda.
As long as she has a Russian accent from Thunderbolts, I'm in.
Done. One of an antagonist, starts as an antagonist but sort of then flips throughout, is Idris Elba playing General Marcus Shaw. He's the hard military leader tasked with protecting humanity. Initially skeptical of the prawns and their alien allies, eventually transforms his ideas after witnessing the Drexar's cruelty. Diego Luna as Rafael Ortega, a resourceful mechanic and ex-MNU worker who defects to the Resistance after uncovering corporate betrayals. He provides critical knowledge about the MNU's tech. And Zazie Beetz as Talia Naidu, a fearless prawn human rights activist who grew up near District 10. She's instrumental in rallying support among Earth's population. And then the Drexar leader is played by none other than Andy Serkis. He
can do a good South African accent.
Definitely
Yep.
can.
Even though prawns don't talk.
Well, he's Drexar, so. He's Commander Zolthar, the menacing leader of the Drexar invaders. Through cutting-edge motion capture, he can be brought to life as Zolthar as a calculating and ruthless antagonist with a commanding presence. His character views humans and prawns as inferior species just to be subjugated. The end.
So did you guys like swap notes during the week? Or?
I was like, everything he's saying is in my story.
That's pretty funny.
That is wild how but not even like slight fucking the same story.
I was like, I could just do this where Christopher comes back and you've got the humans thing. It's like, no, let's add in a third party here. And yeah, really the only difference is sort of I have Wickus still as sort of the main character where you have Christopher sort of as the main character. So
there you go.
Bring some diversity to this show, Brock.
That's creepy, mate. That's creepy.
When the aliens...
I like your idea. I really like where you're going.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
Oh, and the last thing I will say is I sort of in my head I've based the Drexar off the Vespid kind of things from the Tau range in Warhammer 40k. So that sort of insecty reptile sort of.
See, I just called mine invaders because the prawns don't have a name. They're called prawns because it's a
derogatory piece associated to them. They were just aliens through the show.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got, mate? Come on.
All right.
Please tell me that there's another alien race invading.
So the movie starts with a new alien race invading. All right. So this one, the movie will start with the final occurrence of District 9, where you see the completely mutated Wickus in the alien or prawn state making the metal flowers for his wife. There will then be a recap snippet of some of the key points from the previous movie. These will be either security or body cam footage, which is in essence a newsreel exposing the MNU's experiments, degrading treatment of the aliens. That will end with District 10 encampment with a final piece to the news story of a successful transfer of the aliens to District 10 by Durko, D-I-R-C-O, and I'll come back to Durko in a second. But more or less this is kind of like a snippet of MNU were grubs, They did everything really, really badly. Durko took over and then completed a successful thing to get all the aliens into District 10.
So you kind of started off with that mockumentary, sort of similar how the first one started, and so having that news coverage and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's more or less taking some of that footage, like security cam, body cam, those footages that we used in the previous one for that effect, but taking some of the elements where it was a security footage of seeing the experiments done on the aliens and stuff like that to make a news footage of like a news reel of we successfully did it, but the MNUs fucked. There will be a fast forward 5 years, so to 2007. However, this will be broken up following Weekus at a few different intervals. Call it 6 months, a year, 3 years, then to 5 years. So Weekus ingrained himself within the alien community in District 10 with the initial year or so. And after that year, he was no longer recognized or realized as Weekus, who was formerly human, but simply one of the aliens. So he's more or less adopted that that thing. Oh, I forgot to say as well, I'm calling my movie District J. So he gained the trust of the aliens, became ingrained within their culture. For lack of a better term, he was one of the aliens, holding on to the hope that at the 3 years, the alien Christopher would return. And as we've said, we know that 3 years was when Christopher was going to come back, reset him, so to speak, or turn him back into human. 3 years passes and another 2 years without the mothership returning. All of that basically sets the tone of the movie, or a place to sort of progress. At the 5 year mark, MNU are no longer overseeing the district, and it is being overseen by a government faction named Durko. Now, Durko is actually a real South African government department, which is the Department of International Relations Corporation. They simply have a new subsidiary, team or task force that looks after the interplanetary relations. This task force is called District J, short for District Johannesburg. So the intention of District J, or at least their main mandate, is to introduce the aliens into society rather than keeping them within District 10. Second to this is maintaining District 10. So the idea is rather than put them over there and whatever, they actually want to introduce them into society. So this obviously gains a massive amount of backlash, as seen with the derogatory treatment of aliens from the previous movie. That being said, there are aliens who are willing to be introduced to humanity's ways and being introduced into society. Weekus is one of those aliens, albeit he's definitely not one of the first. The movie will be, again, predominantly found footage movie, and it will again follow the agency perspective, or Durko in this case, an attempt at producing a puff piece to show the aliens' introduction into society. You'll see aliens performing what are considered menial tasks, so cleaning, dishes, laundry, those types of things. And then they'll show what is being portrayed as advanced aliens performing checkouts for supermarkets, as this takes high level of communication and human interaction compared to the previous items. The other ones, you can sort of put them over there and say, wash the dishes. This one, you have to actually interact with humans. One of the Durko persons suggests testing Weekus's ability with the... Weekus himself is found to be one of the more progressed aliens and is one of the focal points of the puff piece, as he's able to do the tasks like the supermarket checkout, but is able to complete them very competently compared to the others. One of the Durko persons suggests testing Weekus' ability with the human task further, however wanted it to do within a test group, again, for the puff piece. Therefore, they actually communicate with Weekus. I've gone for the idea that, let's say in the years, communication has developed further than simple yes-no understandings, and there's rudimentary sign language that is being used to bridge the gap. Still very simple, however, it works for simple instructions, responses, and basic conversations. Because of this, the only time you know what the aliens are saying is via the sign language. So whenever they're actually talking in their own language, so from the movie watcher perspective, you don't know what they're saying. Okay. So it's purely just like you'll hear their clicks and whatever, and you'll see them talking to each other. You don't know what it's saying, but when they're doing the signing, you know what they're doing. Yeah,
see, I got around that in the first one by putting subtitles on, and subtitles translated their clicking for me.
Yeah.
It's great.
They ask Weekus to gather a group of aliens who he deems to be, in his opinion, more capable, but to also highlight that if the aliens cooperate and show they are good at what they do, then there would be rewards. Better housing, less menial work, more access to foods, or top shelf cat food. Wickus goes away and rounds up a group of people, and while he's doing this, a thug alien hears of Wickus rounding up the people and what for, and coerces Wickus for an invitation. This group of aliens, I'm thinking group of about 25. Over the course of a few scenes, there's again following of the puff piece footage where aliens are found to do well, not so well, some of the progressively harder tasks, so construction, computers, phones, those types of things. Whilst this is occurring, there are some incidents, but none major. In essence, aliens losing their shit for not being able to complete tasks, but then settling back down without hurting anyone. All of the above has to happen over a prolonged time, so call it 12 months for aliens to learn the communication, learn the tasks, and for the filming for the puff piece, so there'll be like scattered bits and pieces to hurry it along. The finale for the puff piece, there will be a meet or a press conference with the head of DERCO, the head of District J Task Force, the South African president, and a whole bunch of South African people and the aliens. Naturally, protests, but amplified. No violence, but when it all starts, it's on the cusp of absolute mayhem. The head of DERCO gives a speech, followed by an introduction of the president, not to give a speech, but to shake the hands of the aliens and give them a token of some kind. You name what the token is, whatever it might be. A lucky coin or
Golden
something.
catfish.
There you go. Golden catfish.
Cat food, sorry.
Cat food. A tin of golden cat food. That's a good one. Once the thug is the second last to shake the president's hand, with Wickus being the last in line. So once Wickus has shaken the president's hand, the 25 aliens and the DERCO personnel return into the building where they're in essence about to have lunch together. Again, filmed, puff piece, etc., etc. When they're in the room, they all sit, eat, mingle. After several minutes, or at least a course or two of cat food, the action begins. So Wickus reaches under his seat and pulls out an alien weapon. Not sure how to explain this in the movie, but one of the humans saying something as simple as, fuck, we shouldn't have got them to do everything for the event. So the idea is the aliens, as they're getting better with a menial task, they've set up the space. So that's how they've got all these this weaponry and whatnot in there. So Wickus is reaching under. He's got a weapon. He doesn't hesitate, and he shoots the DERCO director, the head of District J Task Force, and points the weapon at the president, who is sitting, say, within 2 or 3 arm lengths. So not there or there, but a little bit away. Most of the other aliens bring out weapons as well. In fact, all of them except for the thug alien. He just wanted to actually turn his life around, so he was more or less introduced to sort of be someone who they thought was trying to sway the tide, but he actually just wanted to turn his life around. Any government lackeys who were on the inside of the doors, they're shot either by aliens or barricade the main entrance. A whole bunch of screaming because the aliens' weapons fuck shit up. There's blood, entrails, everything all over the place. You know those movies where you watch it and it can actually be like hard to watch because it's quite confronting everything that's happening? That's kind of
that scene you're going for.
Exactly. Yep. So it's sort of that's the idea. It's meant to be confronting as fuck. You're looking at it going, shit. During all of this, the thug alien is protesting against what is happening, confused with it all, and he's knocked out by another alien. Wickus leaves with the president out the door that leads to the kitchen, serving, etc. It is empty except for a couple of aliens who were doing the serving. They weren't in on it, but they don't care. They just sit back and let the cohort go through. After the kitchen, there's a vehicle out the back that some aliens get into and flee with some of the other humans. However, Wickus with 2 other aliens take the president into the adjacent abandoned building. Some of the scenes of the decoy vehicle, some scenes of the decoy vehicle being followed, some scenes interwoven with all of this and the protests continuing to escalate and more or less turning more into a shitstorm out the front. Wickus takes the president into a room that is generally advanced technology, or at least advanced alien technology. The president gets strapped to a chair, and then Wickus and the 2 other aliens start flicking switches, etc., rummaging through the space. Lights start to come on and off. You know the scene I'm explaining that everybody has seen 1,000 times when there's just lights going on in the beep, 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 boop, 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 that type of shit. The rummaging stops. The 2 aliens start to walk out. However, one stops, hands Wickus something, says something in alien. Again, we don't understand because we don't have that capacity. Then walks out and closes the door. Wickus goes back to the president, turns on a screen in front of where he's been tied, and places the device he'd received into the front of his neck, sort of like up around here. But yeah, kind of to the side. So on the screen, some footage plays of the old footage similar to the start of the film. The room in silence except for what is coming from the TV. So this is where people watching at home, everything is dead silence. All that you hear is the rummaging around the room and the TV that's just come on and just sort of crackling and whatnot as it's going. Bit of fast. Weakest controls the TV with a bit of fast forwarding, stop, starting, playing, and whatnot. Stopping on key elements that includes snippets of degradation to aliens, of aliens, experiments of aliens, pausing on snippets of Wickus, and then pressing pause on Wickus's wife. Wickus gets up, replaces the cartridge for the video, and places in a new one and presses play. This depicts a scene of Wickus's wife being tortured, not a one-off occurrence, but various several-second snippets of her being tortured at many different times. These start to move quicker and quicker as he's like sort of skipping through with close-ups of Wickus' pure dreaded emotion and torment. The president trying to look away, but Wickus turns him back to look until the screen images slow to a regular speed, and into the image walks the president. Into the image walks the president. This is your last chance. Where is he? Where is Wickus? So this is on the screen. She doesn't say a word. Fine then, and he shoots her in the head. Date stamp on the footage is about 2 years prior. Wickus moves over in front of the president, down at his level, looking right at him in the eyes, and says, "I'm fucking here," and cuts off his hands. So the device was a translator. The other two aliens come back into the room. They have translators on as well now. There's some dialogue about it being time to leave. Everything's ready. Again, buttons, switches, lights, etc. The room starts to shake, rumble, and of course, they are on a little spaceship. This little spaceship is in fact Chris and CJ. So Chris is back. CJ is his son, and they have returned. No one knew as of now nobody knew as now the new journey, and in 3 years for advanced civilization, they had cloaking and whatnot, like over that time that they were away. So they've turned up on the ship. No one knew they got there, snuck down, etc. As the ship starts to rise up, Wickus takes the president over to the window of the ship, and you can see all ships across the city rising up hundreds, not like hundreds or anything, but maybe up to 100, so tens or whatnot. Aliens are fighting humans in the streets, winning because they have access to weaponry, we now know brought to Earth by Chris and his son CJ. So this is a Johannesburg-wide uprising. The ship goes above the clouds, and there is a little old mothership in the distance, cut to black. So that's more or less where the movie sort of ends, so to speak. There will be a final scene. Wickus talking in front of the camera, so one of those ones where he's sort of addressing everybody. Yep. So Wickus in front of the camera, showing snippets of the corruption that remained with his wife's death, but also showing continued experiments with date stamps through to current dates. Because the idea is that when the MNU left and Durko took over, the idea was that was meant to stop, but it hasn't. Yep. Short and simple speech will be from Wickus. Nothing has changed. Nothing will change. There isn't enough room in Johannesburg for humans and aliens. And Johannesburg has had enough of humans. Shoots the president, roll credits.
Cool.
Not quite done. During the credits, and now that you've seen Chris and CJ, there'll be several scenes of Wickus talking with Chris and CJ, like caught on the puff piece camera, but no one knew because of the language barrier. So this will be dubbed. This one will actually be dubbed with Chris and CJ talking like things with Wickus and whatnot, like, "Oh, you're back. How amazing. How'd you get here? I'll show you. We bought weapons," and then like some bits and pieces of them plotting and whatnot, like as over that period of time of when Chris actually got back.
Cool. I like it.
It didn't match your idea, so sorry. it's not right.
When I was writing it, I didn't mean to go in this direction. I ended up going a little bit darker than I anticipated to be quite honest.
That's what the first movie is when you think about it.
It was a dark movie, and I think, just once I started writing, I just kept going in that route and ended up with this, not like a full blockbuster action type thing, but just really focusing in on a few things.
Yeah, yours is more of that sort of humanitarian sort of
100%.
The human rights or alien rights in this situation. Yeah. I was waiting for the twist about why Wickus sort of flipped the fucking switch there.
Yeah.
Which was a good sort of plot point there.
And that was the idea. Like, I wanted it to look like Wickus is nobody knows that it's Wickus,
Yep.
but everybody sees him as being like just a really developed alien. And so we know it's Wickus, but nobody else does. And we're watching him sort of look like he wants to do better. And
So throughout, would you have sort of like Wickus, like sort of in the background, like looking for Wickus or whatever? So that way, like you've always sort of seen that the humans are still looking for Wickus, but or even like the like human him still as a human, like because he was dubbed to be a traitor and things like that in the first one.
I don't think so, because the idea is that when MNU got taken over or disbanded and whatnot, the idea is that everything that was triggered because of MNU was because of MNU. So
Yep.
all the uprisings,
Yeah, it's
everything.
dissolved.
So
It's
it
all
was
gone.
more or less Durko coming through and going, no, these guys attacked you because you fucking killed 30, 40, 50 of them, and then one of them attacked you. So what did you kind of expect?
Yeah.
So because of that, like the president is still looking for Wickus, because Wickus is the one who was formed from a human to alien and could use the technology. So the president still wanted it. It's still like an undercover-esque component of trying to find Wickus, but no, it's not at the forefront of anything.
No, but that's what I was gonna say. Like it's in the background. Like you sort of just see like a poster or something. So it's not
but that's the thing. Like, it's not a poster because there's no like wanted aliens at the moment anymore. Like that's not the idea.
Yeah.
The idea is they're trying to disband in that.
But so you could sort of flip it, not say like a wanted poster, like we want him and like he's a bad thing, like look, missing person,
missing
that
rather
sort of
than,
thing.
yeah,
Like,
okay. No,
so,
that'd be cool.
so that way, because I said as you just sort of point out, like throughout the story, the humans don't know that alien is Wickus, and therefore that's sort of the switch that's flipped at the end is this alien goes Burko because it actually is Wickus, and this is why.
But I think it would be, because I don't think there was necessarily any photos of Wickus. I think it should still be a photo of Wickus in his human form.
Yeah. That's the thing. So that way, everyone's still looking for Wickus, and
Yep.
like you said, you put up thing or like the memorial to Wickus or something like is shown at some point, and you go, we'd love to be able to pay our respects or work with Wickus to help acclimatise him back into a joint role or turn him back to human or something. And then the big reveal is to the humans at the end, this is Wickus the whole time, and he's fucking your shit up because you fucked his wife up, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think I like yours. I think that could potentially be like the first episode of like the series kind of thing.
Yeah, potentially.
So like
it ties in.
yeah, it's like that whole sort of arc sort of happens, and that's kind of a resistance's kind of thing. Maybe not with Wickus though.
I could even
With Christopher coming back with CJ, that could all be worked in. But then you could also, on top of that, have not know about the other, like the invaders, and they could be so everyone knows that Christopher and CJ came back.
Yep.
Maybe their ship might still be cloaked, but the other invaders could be the ones that are kind of secretly coming in.
could even have them somehow like have come down and worked with like they have an insider with the South African government or something, and they're the ones trying to. That's why they're still hunting for Wickus, is because if the aliens can get hold of Wickus, they can then overtake their the prawn sort of technology, which they don't have access to as well. So some of that, I'd even without changing much to your movie, I'd probably change yours to a TV show though, just because there is a lot into it, and that way you could develop it. Like the first 2 or 3 episodes is all about the integration of the prawns, and then you start to get into the nitty gritty of you see something go wrong here or there, and it's as you said that.
No,
that slight sort of upheaval as it builds towards the end.
I think that would be good, because even when I was writing it, like as I started writing it and kept going, and then when I flicked through it today, I'm kind of like, that's really fucking long.
Like
so what I've written down,
like
so it's like
episode 6 or something would finish with Wickus shooting starting to shoot up the place, like that would be the end of that episode.
Yours could be, if you change it so that Christopher comes home and everyone knows, like Christopher, CJ come home, but CJ is taking the Wickus role in your story. So CJ is kind of the one who's forming the resistance, and that's one of the arcs happening throughout the whole show. And so that whole part at the end of yours, where the press conference and stuff, that all happens at the end, whilst Christopher's arc is with like the invading aliens kind of thing, which can also be a didn't know they were here kind of there.
Yeah. I like the idea of the sideline stories.
Yeah.
A couple different, rather than having that one pinnacle story that goes through, you have a couple different storylines. So Wickes would still be doing what he's doing, but CJ would also be like setting up the resistance factor for everything else that's going on. Chris would be a part of that as well, like because as we said, there was several ships that went up into the air. There's a mothership, so there's all that shit which can be explained in some way, shape, or form by the TV
And you could
show
even
as well.
make it that the invaders, they've kind of secretly worked their way. So Andy Serkis has secretly worked his way in, and they might be able to. So they might be a parasite.
Or even they've just got
Parasitic ones
they've
who
got
like take over.
I was gonna say not cloaking, but like they can.
What is it? The Yeeks from Animal?
Yeah.
They
So-
can just put they've. I keep thinking of one of the scenes from a Stargate SG-1 episode where they put on the thing and like they just morph their body into something else. Like they can change their appearance at will, and therefore they're masquerading as humans and infiltrating the military and infiltrating the politicians, and that's why I said that's why they're after Wickes for their hidden agenda, and that's where, as you said, CJ and Christopher come down.
That can be the thug.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That could be the thug, and then so they're kind of doing that, and then that way you could kind of have them. You don't really find out until mid-season that there's another alien race kind of thing there. So the whole start of the show is essentially like kind of your story of like that segregation, racism, all that kind of stuff that the whole first movie was about. And then that's when you can start kicking in those additional sci-fi things, and that's when the rebellion hits.
You could end, like I said, episode 4 or something could end with like you're on there with Christopher and you just like their form of radar just has like this blip, and that's the ending. You're like, oh, there's something else out there. And that's sort of as you go into there. And so that then him then starting to investigate what this other blip is and things like that.
Yeah.
And then it just eventually ends sort of the same thing, maybe kills the president, but maybe the president is one of the invaders or some shit like that. I don't know. But
And you can still have the torturing of the wife because that makes sense of what they're torturing the wife because they want Wickes. And then, it's sort of that's why Wickes then turns and follow his arc because that's what allows the CJ to actually fully recruit Wickes into the rebellious side of turning against humans because the humans have not only fucked his wife up but sided with the other aliens
But
on top of that.
I think the most important thing throughout the whole show, though, would be to make sure that like inequality sort of thing sticks throughout all of the
100%.
storylines because that's the main part of that of the movie. So that kind of sits there through the whole sort of thing.
It has to, and I think also like as you're having those different storylines, whilst they're happening at the same time, they're connected in some way, shape, or form. I think they still need to have an element of separation.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Because like the whole week is working in with them. Like you don't really want to know about that until the end, and vice versa, and like some of those cross weaves and the like.
And you could still even have it as Wickes being unknown to the humans as that is Wickes, and you could still do that reveal, and he is just an abnormally well adapted prawn.
Exactly.
And things like that. Now I have a question back to your original one though. What was the end result with the thug? Because the thug. You kind of got me in with the thug wanting to join in.
He was a decoy.
It was a decoy.
Yeah, he was a decoy.
Purely
for
decoy.
the
I just didn't
viewers.
know if he was going to come back in somewhere else there. But
no. So the idea is that when you first like get introduced to him, it just gives that aura of he's like
he's going to be the problem.
He's going to be the problem. You're going to bring him.
He's going to try and assassinate the president.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
no,
you've got,
I got that part. I was just waiting for like was there like after he said he got knocked out and that was it. I just didn't know if you had another plan for him somewhere.
He was the bait.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that is our versions of District 9 sequel.
So just to sum that up, so basically we start with Brock's idea of integrating the prawns, few sort of disagreements between prawns, humans there. As the movie goes on, we see CJ and Chris come back, reunite with Wickes. That sort of storyline develops into another alien race coming along that then humans and prawns must work together to defeat. Ending up with the prawns fucking both of them up.
I think
the
we've got
sort
two
of
seasons.
The prawns are sort of the prawns are sort of being
they're sort of being manipulated by everyone there.
by both sides, the aliens and the humans, and essentially and then it all eventuates to shit pretty much in all of our story versions. But yeah, tell us down in the comments which version you liked, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you send this through to whoever distributed District 9.
Send it through to Andy
Bloom
Serkis.
Camp. Is it Bloom Camp?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Send it through to whoever made it, and we'll get this movies made, this TV show made.
And more importantly, drop a comment with your sequel idea of District 9. So what would you do for District 10, District J, or whatever you would call
District 22. All right, so we've got
Good
to
chat, Brock. Good chat.
Thanks,
Sorry.
Brock. I really appreciate your input there.
I completely zoned out.
We need to come up with what we're going to be watching next, watching and sequelizing next time.
What movie am I watching in the next 2
Yes,
weeks?
all right. Let's bring up our movie selections here.
That's the other thing, guys. Drop a comment and tell us what movie you'd like to add to the randomizer. Always happy to take on your advice and feedback.
Bingo.
Where are we?
And as AJ does it, I'll throw one more thing in. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share it out with everyone and spread the Frantic word to your mates and family.
100%.
And if there is a particular movie that you do want us to do, I'm sure we could probably work that in.
Yeah. Some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Okay. So we need a random number here. Let's go. What do we got? Let's see if that's actually a number.
You should know numbers by now.
How does the numbers work? No, because we only go to 67, not 100. So that does not work.
Going well.
Okay, here we go. And number 53.
District 9.
No, The Mask.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fucking hell.
Jim Carrey's The Mask.
It's already got sequel. Oh, well, not with Jim Carrey.
I'm sorry,
but, yeah.
that was not a sequel. That was a
It's-
pilot.
So we're doing a Jim Carrey sequel.
No, yeah,
Well, it doesn't have to be a Jim Carrey sequel. It just has to be a
No,
sequel
the-
to Jim Carrey's film.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting one.
Jim Carrey.
Very much so. I have no idea.
I can see
what
now
that was.
Jim Carrey will have somehow the mask will replicate Sonic somehow. It's done. Like that's my
And
story.
we're getting a crossover, everybody.
Okay, so if you want to see us come up with ideas for a sequel for The Mask, a true sequel, not a really bad sequel, make sure you come back in 2 weeks and check out the next episode, episode 6. And until then, share, like, subscribe, all that shit like we said, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
See you later.
Late nights, neon lights, crazy dreams. AJ, Brock, and Zach scheming wild things. Movies that flopped or never got their time. They breathe new life with sequels on their mind.